Alright, welcome back to the channel, guys. So I wanted to do a video talking about the some of the battle things that I kind of forget since I did the civil one. So I figured, alright, let me just upload a video talking about some of the things that I forget, because I'm sure one or at least two of these are going to be on other people's lists as well, in terms of things that they forget. So most of these things are kind of like, you know, they're small, but you can really miss out on maximizing casualties inflicted and also avoiding how to lose troops. And you know, most of the times when this happens, it's because, you know, I'm in a hurry to get to a bigger battle. You know, I have a series of fights to do, so I just, you know, kind of don't want to deal with these vanguard battles sometimes where it's just one or two units. But it does add up to keep missing on these little things, to keep skipping out on them. It does kind of add up. So the first thing I want to talk about is cutting off units that you know that you're going to route, right? So you guys can see here, this happens to me all too often. I'll know that I have a fight won, that I've got the unit routed, but I don't have his avenue of escape closed off for some reason. It's one thing if you can't, because the battle is so close that you just can't spare the units. But whenever you can, you want to cut off their escape route. Okay, when you have, especially when you have a unit like this that's only got 200 soldiers, they don't have that much. You want to put them in a spot where all they're doing is cutting off escape routes, because they can pick up these stragglers that are trying to get off the battlefield, and that can make a big difference, especially when you're playing on when you have battle depths on high. A lot of battles, if you cut off these units, if you destroy them, the chances of getting casualties inflicted on the enemy are very, very, very high. So, for me, who's fighting the Takeda right now, for example, I think I've inflicted 20 battle deaths just by always trying to cut off escape routes and destroying units over and over and over again. And every once in a while I'll get an officer that's, you know, a pretty good officer. Now the Takeda at this point in the game are very strong or whatever, but you never know when you can get that key officer off the board, get them killed or get them captured. So one of the things is to just try to plan out the course. As you're fighting a unit, try to think about, okay, when I route them, can I cut them off, you know? And one of the things that plays into that is mobility. Always try to have a guy who has high mobility, who has the speedy tactic, because it can let you not just get to outpost quickly in the beginning of the battle, but a guy who's speedy can actually very quickly cut off units that are trying to run. The next thing I wanted to say is the confuse, right? Officers who have confuse. So take my daimyo here, who's only got 900 troops, right? One of the things about confuse is that since you can inflict it almost immediately, you can avoid taking damage. So even when you don't have any troops, I think confuse is probably the only tactic that can still provide you with something when you can no longer contribute to the fight directly. So I'll show you guys what I mean. One of the things that I forget to do this almost all the time. I'll just go ahead and I'll attack the guy, right? Oh, and this is beautiful. Two things actually I forgot to say. So when you're facing an opponent who has confuse, you want to send out a distraction unit first. Okay? The only reason they didn't both get confused is because he's speedy, so he got there first. But you want to send a unit to take the confusion first, so plan for that. Don't get caught sending your best guy into attack and he gets confused and taken out of the fight immediately. I've made that mistake most of the time because just pure laziness. I don't bother to check to make sure that the officer doesn't have confuse. If I have confuse and they have confuse, theirs triggers first. I've never been able to trigger mine first. The AI gets to go first. I'm not sure if it's just because they're the defender. I feel like usually it's just the AI wins that battle. They get to trigger their confusion first. So send the unit first to take the hit. and then send the units that you actually want to do the damage. You know, if you can, assuming you can afford it, you know, afford to do that, right? But in this situation, I send him first. He eats up the confuse, and since this guy's the damage dealer anyway, he can come in and deal the damage. And then be conscious of the fact that he's charging up his tactics meter. So after a while, you're going to want to pull these guys back and then rinse and repeat. Send him first, send the fodder first, let that unit take the confusion, and let your damage dealing unit deal damage. Okay. Another thing with confusion, right? When you're confused, you don't have to sit here and take the damage. This is actually kind of key. If you have a unit behind it, this unit, if I send it in, I can push him aside, okay, and spare him taking damage. I don't know why this works, because it doesn't work with a lot of other things, but when one of your units is confused, you can send another unit in, shove it aside, out of the radius of it taking damage, and get that other unit to the front. So you can bypass, you can sort of bypass the setback of being confused, as long as you have another unit, a backup unit. So right now I'm going to send him in, and I'm going to try to give him the order to pass back. I don't think it matters. So you're going to see, he pushes him aside, so the confused unit gets pushed to the back, and the new unit takes the place of the confused unit. So this is another thing to consider. If you're going to have a clash, let's say I'm going to have a clash here in the center, and I know that they have a unit that has confusion, and I've got Katsui here and a no-name guy here. Okay, for some reason Katsui gets confused. I didn't catch it. Katsui Shibata gets confused. I can send another unit behind and push him out of harm's way so that he doesn't take damage. That's what I did there. So I pushed him out of the way, and now I'm out in the front. So if he wasn't confused and he was dealing damage right now, he'd be dealing damage back to me. You know, instead of the confused unit taking damage. So hope that makes sense. Like I said, try this out for yourselves. You'll see it's what I found out, which was fairly early. But when I discovered that, I was like, holy moly, that's a game changer. Because now I can save my best piece. You know, if one of my really good units gets taken out like that, and they get caught in a tricky situation, I can just bail him out by sending somebody behind. So, and that brings me to another thing. A lot of this is all about confusion. So, the last thing is what I did here. Even if you have a unit that's below 1,000, you can still use them as long as they have confused, or even any gold-plated tactic, anything that deals damage. You just pop them in like I did here. You deal the confusion, right? And then as soon as you can, before they recover, he's recovered, okay? So now that he's recovered, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my guy. Let me get the portrait there. And I'm going to move him back. See, he's going to fall back, he's going to move forward. So that way he's safe, see? So he doesn't take any damage. It's kind of a key thing. Like I said, you could do this with anybody who deals damage. Any gold-plated units, any units that deals... Any unit that has like an activation, like Katsui or Mitsunari, anybody that deals immediate damage, you can do that with. Even if they have almost no troops. So... Another thing you can do, of course, is just move them in and move them out. Same, you know, same kind of concept. But like I said, this guy has confused, right? So I know he's got confused. I'll show it again. Now you can't see when their tactic is really ready. You just have to guess. You have to say, okay, it's been some time. Sooner or later, it's going to be coming up. So again, I want to move in. This is the damage dealer, so I don't want him to eat that. So I'm going to send in somebody else. And again, if we both have confused, the defenders is going to go off first. So you can't beat it by sending, you know, you can't just send your guy in to confuse him first. Doesn't work like that. So you just have to pick a unit to take the hit. So I'm going to send him in first. Wait for him to be confused, and now I'll send in Kazumasa afterwards. Okay, so then you send him in afterwards, you protected him, and now he's confused, but I have a spare unit back here, same thing, watch, I'll send him in. Come on. Send him in, and he'll push him out of the way, out of harm's way. Just like that. Now he's not taking any damage, and of course he's confused him. Same thing. And once he recovers, I can pull him out because my daimyo is not very strong, and he's almost wiped. So as soon as he's recovered, pull him back out to get back to charging, let him take the spot again. So yeah, pretty straightforward. I mean, it's a little nuanced, but again, this really works well with Confuse and anybody who has anything that's AoE, anything that just deals damage on the spot. Even if they have almost no troops, as long as you can find a way to get them in there safely for a split second, get them in there, use their tactic, get them back out. Or if they don't have anything like that, you can use them like this guy. Just use them to cut off routes. Always destroy units. Don't let units get away. If you can help it, don't let them get away. Always destroy them. Think about how the AI is going to pathfind its way off the battlefield, and make sure that you cut them off, so that you can increase casualties. Especially if you're playing with deaths on high, you can really increase battle deaths. I mean, it's kind of crazy how often you can get kills just by making sure that you destroy units. And in this game especially, it feels like anybody can go at any time. You know, more renowned officers are not any safer than guys who are not, you know, than the forgettable guys. So yeah, just wanted to drop those things. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys have any other battle tips or mistakes or anything to watch out for to get that you think I should get out there to cover. Make sure you like the video and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys on the next one.